Daniel, everything that I thought I knew about you is wrong. It's wrong, because I just got home from my dance class. I was going to just check Tumblr real quick, fix my makeup, and then film this video, and it was all going to be great. I already knew where I was going to go with the video today, but then you threw me a curveball. And here's why, people. For everyone who doesn't know, Dan just posted his top 10 films of 2010. I can't even... And number 10 on the list. The 10th best film of the entire year. The Human Centipede. The Human Centipede. Now, here's the thing. Here's my problem with this movie. And I think that it's, like, disturbing that anyone would even want to watch it. Like, I kind of feel like it's this thing that exists to show us that everything that's wrong with the world and the way things are going. And it's not even that I have a problem with, like, disturbing movies or gore, because the original Saw movie was really disturbing, but at least it made you think. And I don't even have a problem with senseless violence, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something like that, but at least it doesn't fetishize it. I mean, I feel like The Human Centipede is for people who would like the thick, get out of my dreams and into my carbonara, and Sarah and Lauren know exactly why that's disturbing, and I just find it very, I don't even know how to talk to you right now, because I can't. So let's talk about Lord of the Rings. Because that's what I read this week. Fellowship of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, one of my favorite books ever, which you guys already know, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about that. I want to talk a little bit more deeply about it, since most people know the basic plot and have already decided whether they like it or not. If you don't know, watch the films, read the books, they're amazing. I almost didn't finish this week. And not because I can't get through a book this size, because I've done books way longer over the course of the series, but Tom Bombadil. Like, I was reading this, and I got to the Tom Bombadil part, and I was losing steam, and, like, losing my will to live, and I came across the bookmark from the last time I tried to read this book, and got stuck at the Tom Bombadil part. He just bores me. I don't get why he's in this story. I don't like the tone of it, because it turns into this, like, jolly folklore theme, you know? And I don't like his little songs, because they get stuck in my head, and they won't get out. And I don't like his yellow boots. You know, actually, that's not true. His yellow boots are probably very fashion forward. You guys know I can't resist a fabulous pair of shoes. But everything else about Tom Bombadil, I cannot stand. So I finally had to just skip the rest of the Tom Bombadil part, because there was no way that I was going to finish the book if I was forced to read that. And it's only 20 pages long, but I just can't even, I can't. You know what? Too much of this video has been about Tom Bombadil already. Let's move on. So I watched a documentary this week called The Science of Evil, and it kind of corresponded nicely with the Fellowship of the Rings. And I want to talk about the ring itself, because I feel like that's what this book is about more than any of the other books in the series. It's very much characterizing the ring and what it means and how it affects people. And what I like about Tolkien is that he does not shy away from, well, he accepts that there is a certain degree of evil in everybody. So every person would eventually succumb to the ring, because everyone has the capacity for evil, and it's just what circumstances that comes out in. And that's what that documentary that I was watching showed, these different experiments that they have done over the years. You've probably heard of the Stanford prison experiment if you've ever taken a psychology class. And it just shows how quickly normal people can become something that we would find reprehensible, because we've never been in those situations. And I feel like that's what the ring does. The ring goes up and tests people against themselves, because everyone would fall to it eventually. So it's just a matter of how and why. Like Boromir, and the films do a terrible job of characterizing this, because they kind of put Boromir up as a villain from the start. And I get why they have to do that in the film. But in the book, Boromir is a really good guy. I really like him. He was one of my favorite characters when I was reading the book up until the end. And he doesn't fall victim to the ring quicker than everyone else because he is a bad person, or that he's any worse than anyone else that's in the Fellowship. He falls victim to it because he has this great responsibility to his people in Gondor, and he sees all this horrible stuff happening, and he has all this pressure from his father, and he's from his brother as well, Faramir, which we meet later, and the Gondor has been fighting this kind of endless war with Mordor, and it's just getting worse, and they're losing people and they're losing land, and he's just at this point of desperation that makes him very susceptible to the lure of the ring, to the lure of that power, because he doesn't want it to put himself up on a pedestal or to make himself an almighty ruler. He wants it to protect his people. He wants to use it for good. And it reminded me of a line in, I think it was the movie Luther. But I saw it years and years ago, and the line has just like stuck with me forever. One guy says, "What is it that you want the most?" And I don't remember what the other guy said. But his response is, "Well, then that's how you'll be tempted." And that's something that I think about in this. It doesn't tempt you into becoming an evil overlord. It tempts you in what you want the most, even if that thing is a desire to free your people or to do ultimate good. You will still be tempted in that manner, and it will eventually be your undoing. And that's why the hobbits can resist it for so long, because they don't really particularly want power or recognition, and their people are all safe and they're happy with their lives. There's really nothing that they would want to change. So you can't really tempt them in that way, because they don't want the things that the ring represents. And you see, ultimately, Galadriel and Gandalf being tested against this, and they just refuse to even look at it or touch it because they understand it. And I think understanding the way that you can fall and the way that you are understanding the chinks in your own armor and the way that people fail generally made it so that they could resist the ring. Like Galadriel saw the kinslayings and saw how the elves fell to evil kind of their own accord. Gandalf has obviously seen a lot. Aragorn doesn't want power. He doesn't want responsibility. He doesn't want his bloodline, but he feels this sort of fear of himself, and that allows him to resist the ring longer. And so it's with the knowledge that you can fall to the ring, that everybody can fall to the ring, is what gives them the power to resist it in the first place. So that's what reading Lord of the Rings this time made me think of. Also, it's sort of interesting that certain different things catch your eye each time you read the story. And I noticed, like I'd always kind of noticed in the back of my mind, but it seemed very prevalent to me this time when I read it, the way that people's height correlates with the amount of strength or power that they have in them. And sort of the taller they are, the more noble they are. And that's especially true with, like, Merry and Pippin, which that scene is later, but that's a symbolic scene, which I will probably come back to if I remember. But yeah, the height indicates their nobility and their strength and their power. So I thought that was interesting, especially when you think about the dwarves. I think it says something kind of fascinating about them, even more so if you know the history of the dwarves, but you probably don't. And I won't get into that because people find Tolkien mythology really boring if it's outside of the regular trilogy plus The Hobbit. So that was my thoughts on this. I look forward to talking more about Lord of the Rings with you kids later. I would like to hear in the comments, not necessarily from the other book fighters because I think I already know how you guys feel about it, but viewers, how do you feel about Tom Bombadil? I would like to know. Because everyone that I've talked to, Kalinda and Dan, both like Tom Bombadil. And I don't know what that says about Kalinda, but I can figure out what it says about Dan, now that the whole human centipede situation happened. Anyway, what do you think about Tom Bombadil? Does he make you as crazy as he makes me? Moving on. Next week I will not be reading The Two Towers, because I have to read my book Santa thing, because it did not come in the mail until just this last week, so I need to do that first, because I was supposed to do it in December. Anyway, Ode to Kirihito, also recommended to me by Dan. I was excited about it. Now I'm a little worried. So we'll see how that goes. Which makes me kind of sad, because now I'm going to be behind you guys with the reading of The Lord of the Rings. That's fine. That's fine. Ode to Kirihito. That'll happen. Questions, I don't feel as though there were a lot of them. I think that Julia asked about resolutions, maybe. And I'm not going to get too into that, because that's our Room Finders topic for this rotation. I'll annotate whenever my video comes out of that, which will be next Tuesday. But long story short, I don't do resolutions. I never have. I'm not going to start now, for a lot of reasons, which I'll discuss there whenever that happens. Anyway, okay, I have kind of a silly question for you guys this week. It's Lord of the Rings related, because 'tis the season and all. It's kind of an internet quiz kind of question. What if you were a race in Lord of the Rings? Who would you be? Would you be a hobbit, or a dwarf, or a human, or a wizard, or an elf, or a Valar? Probably not. I don't know. Who do you think you would be? And what's your favorite race out of Lord of the Rings? That's all. I just want to talk about Lord of the Rings more with you guys, basically. I feel like I would probably be an elf. I like their aesthetic. And the way that they think about the world, I see their worldview, and I feel like I would be more elf-like than anything else. I'm definitely not a hobbit. I mean, a hobbit would be nice for vacation, but I couldn't be a hobbit full-time. Definitely not a dwarf. Don't even come near me with that. And then, humans are humans, so there's that. It's not a very interesting answer. I hope you don't pick human, because that'd be really boring. Yeah, so that's all that I have for you this week. Sorry if it's totally incoherent, but these things, they do happen. Yes. Alright, I gotta end this. Julia, I will see you tomorrow.